Good afternoon. Welcome to Entrepreneurial Live interviews with Connie Fuksa. Today, you guys, I have this amazing person online with us. You are just not going to believe this lady and her story, her energy. I met her several years ago through a business that I had, and she was interviewing me. We were talking about different things. Just her energy is just infectious, and I have just enjoyed being friends with her since then. We've connected in so many different ways, and her energy is just amazing, and her story is even more amazing. I can't wait to share her with you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Shaniqua Cousins. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
I'm so excited to talk to you. So first, I want you just to tell us a little bit about you. Tell us who you are, how you got to where you are right now and what you're doing right now. Tell us about all your different, this lady dabbles in a lot of different things. And so I love it. I can't wait to hear her tell you all about it.
So funny you asked that question because literally yesterday I wrote for the first time in my Michelle Obama's Becoming journal. My daughter got it for me for Christmas. And one was in the guided journal was tell me your story. And so it forced me to really tell my story from the beginning. So what I wrote down for myself was that one, I'm a Southern girl, Charleston, South Carolina to be exact. I'm the daughter of Alan Wilson and Sonia Nelson, deceased. I'm a middle girl, and that has a lot to do with my personality. That I'm more and more I'm realizing that as I'm aging, if you would. And my family is so important to me. I grew up with a big country family, always, just love and food and interaction, just like Southern. And it really created the foundation for who I am today. And so, losing my father at the age of 14, I started kind of trying to figure things out for my own. But his impact on my life at such an early age and the lessons that he taught me, they are so they're just embedded in who I am. And so, being that middle girl, I'll go back to that part. I just always had this curiosity and wanted to explore. And that's just who I am. And so I don't allow myself to not be curious. And so I'm not afraid to live out loud, if you would. So in a nutshell, I'm Shaniqua, a Southern girl. I enjoy life. I love sharing. I've always loved sharing. And I'm a people person.
Yeah, you definitely are. You absolutely are. So tell us some of the things that you do. I love the living out loud and the energy. And, some of that I didn't know about you. So I love doing these interviews because I get to find out more about the people that I've come to meet and get to know. So this is a lot of fun for me as well. So tell us a little bit about tell us about your entrepreneurial journey a little bit. Tell us about what you've done and what you're up to right now.
So it started out with me exploring the idea of publishing my first book. Like, what is have things to say, and I wanted to. I felt like I could potentially inspire people, but I actually put it into words. And so the first launch of my first book was launched in 2000. And so here I was just thinking, I'm going to just share these books, and then it'll become a New York Times bestseller, I guess. It's just going to magically happen. I didn't know what I was really doing. But through that journey, what I discovered is that I had more comfort in just having more interactions with people. And so itself really led me to starting to engage with people differently and sharing the story I am and what this book is about. And so that kind of opened the door to a speaking career that blossomed from selling books, because I figured out early on you couldn't just go out and sell books. You're not, people don't want to just have a book being thrown at them, especially when you're trying to sell books in person. And so that kind of opened up that door for me. And that door led me to being able to engage with other women just like yourself and really wanting to have more and more conversations about what were we doing that we felt like we were passionate about and purpose driven or purposely divine. And so that led to me doing and hosting my own talk show, which is the Seek Purpose Live Dreams talk show. And so that led to me discovering or sharing a little bit more about myself through my cooking. And so cooking has always been, well, I won't say always. Food has always been a big part of my life, if you would. And
Yeah, that's that Southern hospitality thing, right?
but I wasn't cooking growing up. I was in the kitchen, not really. Like I was when my mom was making macaroni and cheese, I was cutting the cheese. I wasn't really paying attention. I was just kind of like doing the chore. But all seeping in and knowing how to prepare meals. It was just a part of the culture, the tradition in my family. So all of that stuff was in me, but I started to really discover a love and an interest in the health around food. And so when I got my own family, and so that really became an interest of mine. And then just again, the Southern hospitality, hosting people and engaging in that way. And so it's just a part of who I am. And what I did recently was I just really started to share that part of who I am with my audience. And so is right now leading me into my first cookbook that will be launched this fall. And
Wow, exciting.
excited about that. And I'm about, I'm just excited about life right now. I'm just excited about, I think back when I first started, and when I first started out on this journey, I didn't know where I was going, to be honest with you. I just knew that I needed to stay true to who I am and not be afraid to take the next step and not be afraid to allow myself to live what I could see on the inside.
Gosh, I love that. And your story or your journey is so interesting because we talk about a lot of times about making pivots, running into obstacles, things like that, and how you pivot to, change your direction or create fix whatever that obstacle is or go around it in order to get to the level that you want to be at. But it sounds like more in your situation, it was less of roadblocks and it was more and less obstacles and more just continuing to dig in more to who you were as you've been going along. So this is really interesting about these different areas. So first of all, tell us your book, the name of your book. So anybody who wants to, they can find out about it. They can go get a copy of your first book. Tell us about that.
So the first book is titled Life Experiences, Preparation, and Purpose. And so the title came to me because I felt like at that particular moment, I was really starting to figure out that there's a connection between our experiences in life and the purpose that we're ultimately here for. And so I think when we make that connection, life just opens up to us. And
Nice.
being receptive to it and being receptive to the different phases of life has
Mm-hmm.
always been a curiosity of mine. And so in that book, I'm encouraging people to really start to make a connection between your experiences and why you're ultimately here.
Well, and it sounds like you actually live that the process yourself. I mean, you clearly have defined from your childhood to now some of those things that connecting the dots, if you will, what that purpose is that you're here. And now I mean, I can see it on your face, the blossoming of knowing your purpose is so exciting. So tell me as you went along, maybe some of the things that you had to do some of that pivot, maybe some struggles. You tried some things, it didn't necessarily work out. Was it difficult making that change, or did you just know when you had some of these struggles, well, it's time to make a change and now I need to, what was the process you went through those kinds of things?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, Connie. I don't have a 1, 2, 3, if you would. And I'm so happy you asked that question too, because in the journal yesterday, and I have it sitting here, I literally, the question was like, you're in the book with me right now.
Oh, wonderful. Wow. Isn't that kind of divine all in itself?
One of the things that she is asking on the page is, where did your story take a sudden turn? And so I started thinking about all of the different pivots that I had to make, and I jotted them down and I jotted down the approximate age that I was. And so I'll just name a couple of them. One was moving in with my Aunt Joni at the age of 12. And so from the age of 12 to the age of 18, I was under a different influence. I was like, Aunt Joni is very like no nonsense. She's very business oriented. She's very, she's loving, you know. And so I grew up with my mom and dad in a household. So that set a foundation for me for what my parental, what's the word I'm looking for? It just set the foundation for what a family looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So up until my dad passed away, which was at age 14, that was another pivot that I had to figure out how to navigate a young girl, a young African-American girl, Southern girl, growing up with her father. He's gone now, age 14. And I struggled. I struggled with what the new love from a guy would look like forward. So there were some struggles there. And I was finding love in the wrong places, if you would.
Sure.
Other one is meeting a friend of mine at age 8. Her name is Miss Isabel. And I'll go back to my Southern roots again. When I grew up in a time where you were Black or you were white. And so, and you literally lived on one side of the tracks or the other. But God would have it that on the street that I lived on during that particular time, it was a segregated, not segregated, but what's the word I'm looking for? Blacks and whites lived on the same street.
Okay.
And so an 8-year-old girl walking down the street, and I'm meeting this, she was like 35 at the time, white female, and we became. And so what that taught me and what I realize now in life is that it helped to bridge a gap for me that I would need later on in my life.
Yeah.
You know, never grew up with a fear of the other side.
Yeah.
You know, from the age of 8 on, I knew what it felt like to be in a room with white women. That wasn't the same experience, or white people in general. That wasn't the same people that I was growing up with. And so that was a turn for me. And that was a turn for those people that I came in contact with, people that still know me to this day as an adult. And so another turn was getting married, you know, another turn in my life. And then not only getting married, but going through marital strife, if you would.
Yeah.
Also having my daughter. And so I think about things, or losing my mom when I was 35. My mom passed away. And so I felt for the first time in my life like an orphan, even at the age of 35. And so for me, I've always figured out a way to dig in, and I don't see things as obstacles. I see things as, I think things can be figured out. So I'm never hunkered down and saying, well, that's it and that's all. You know, it's always, to me, it's like, okay, reset. What is life trying to teach you here? What is the lesson that you need to learn so that you can move on?
I love it.
I've had many moments where I was resistant to change, and that just prolonged the inevitable. And so now in my 40s, I know that life is here to teach me. I'm here to learn, and I shouldn't be resisting everything that comes my way, but take on the lesson, figure out what it's here for, and just kind of move on.
I love it. This is such juicy stuff because, you know, it speaks very much to the person that ultimately molded you into who you are, both professionally and personally, because it very poignantly shared with us very raw emotions about the obstacles and the things in your life that made you the human being, the beautiful woman that you are today, which is very interesting because you can go back as we're listening to you and see connecting the dots when you first explained all of your experiences of your entrepreneurial life. You can see how these things very much contributed to that. And it's very interesting and fun, actually, to be able to be in that chronological discussion with you or thought process. It's really neat. So tell us a couple of things that you've done that you maybe said, oh gosh, maybe that wasn't the best idea. I mean, I love that you said, things can always be figured out. And what are the lessons in this instead of being stuck up against a wall? And if you are resistant to change, it's just going to prolong whatever the situation is. So I love these theories. Really good, juicy nuggets. Give us a couple of examples of some tough stuff that you've done in your adult life that you went through. You were trying to do something entrepreneurially and it just, hit one of those you need to take that lesson and make that change and make a turn, whether it was, real significant or maybe not quite so heavy?
I would say trying to be someone that I wasn't.
Ah,
We read so much about do this, do that, post during this time, post during that time. You got to do this. You got to have a schedule.
right.
Tried that, Connie. I really did. I tried it, and it
Yeah.
just didn't fit with me. It did not feel right to my core.
Yeah.
And I feel about it. I remember when social media really started to take off, and
Mhm.
wasn't really engaged in it because I'm really more of an introverted person. So I was like forcing myself to be in this world and to try to keep up with everyone.
Right.
And I remember saying no thanks.
Yeah.
I said no thanks. I have to do it. I have to do it and do it the way that I know how to do it so that it's authentic to me, because at the end of the day, I'm trying and I know that I'm called to people who are authentic. If
Yeah.
you know, I'm trying to attract and be attracted to those people who are truly living on purpose. I'm not trying to be pretending like I'm something that I'm not. I'm
Hmm.
not pretend like I don't know that I have been called on purpose to do good work in this world, and
Right.
I'm not odds and all of that. I resisted that. I mean, that is one thing that I resist doing,
Yeah.
being that I'm not. And so I would say to people who if you're struggling with your identity in your business, if your business does not look like and feel like you,
Excuse me.
I think what you do and what you're producing for the world should come through you and out into the world. And when it doesn't, it just doesn't feel right for me.
Yeah, yeah, I love this. Well, I think that's true about everybody. I think you recognize it, and a lot of other people don't see the signs and recognize it for themselves because clearly, I mean, I've known you for a while, and I know some of the things that you've worked through, some things that you've tried. Maybe they worked, maybe they didn't, but maybe it wasn't even, I think what I hear you saying is it's not necessarily that it did or didn't work. It just wasn't your thing. It wasn't where you were supposed to be. And I love this energy because this is something that I think people don't really get. Some people just try things and say, oh, well, it didn't work out, that, I'm not going to do that. Or maybe, I wasn't successful, or it was really much more difficult than I thought it was going to be. When in fact, as I hear you're saying, maybe it was because that just really wasn't what you were supposed to be doing anyway.
Or at that time.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
I don't have a shortage of ideas. I remember probably about 8 to 10 years ago, I was trying to launch a fitness line. Well, it wasn't the time.
Mm-hmm.
It really hadn't really made a connection to myself to fitness, if you would, during that time. So I wouldn't really attract clients. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of it, or there was no need for me to launch a cookbook 10 years ago because really I wasn't that involved in it. I wasn't, and no one, I hadn't made a connection or established myself in such a way, or was sharing that part of myself in such a way. I think that life is about foundations. And so the book, my favorite student built a foundation to be able to be confident and go out into this world and be who I am. That has helped me establish the business that I want to be establish the business. I'll just say that. And
Uh-huh.
through the business, there have been levels of, okay, this particular product or service will open a door and lead the way to this and that. But I never try to rush it. Even when I'm feeling it, I don't rush it. I'm like, no, girlfriend, just sit back. It'll happen when it's supposed to. It's a lot about timing and not just my timing. And when you're living on purpose, you understand that it's not just always in your timing, but the right people have to be on the other side to receive it too. So there's people that have to get prepared for what you are offering and
Yeah.
what you have. So I would just be I'm always mindful of that.
Yeah, yeah, I love this. That's really a cool way to think about it because instead of the negative side of, oh gosh, I tried that and it didn't work, it makes a lot of sense what you're saying, partly because I followed your journey as well. So I understand it, but also because I can think back to my own life and say, something didn't work. Maybe it just wasn't the right time. That's a really not only positive, which is purposeful. I mean, that's just fantastic, but also realistic. I mean, you were really passionate about something, but just because it didn't work out didn't mean it was a bad idea. It just means it wasn't the right time.
Exactly.
Very powerful.
I think we all have great ideas, and I don't think that they should just be, you don't just put them on the shelf. A delay is not a denial. And so I'm back, so I'm going to share something with you. In 2009, I have it on my vision board up in my workout room to this day. And in 2009, I said that I wanted to go into life coaching. Now, whose life was I coaching in 2009? Because my life, quite frankly, was in a little bit of a shamble at that time. But I wrote it out. I wrote out what that looked like for me and who I would service and everything. 2009, this thing has been sitting on my vision board. And just April 20th, I enrolled in my first certification program to get this. And
I'm proud of you. Very exciting.
Yeah, health and life coaching. But in 2009, right time. But I needed to keep that vision before my eyes. So when I'm working out, I don't know how this is happening and how this is all going to play out. But what I do hold true to is that it will happen. I never try to really figure it out, if you will.
Gosh, I love that because, vision boards are very popular. People talk about doing them and, willing things into being, that kind of thing. But I love this concept that it's sitting there. It doesn't have to be stuff that you're going to do this year. It doesn't necessarily have to be stuff that you have a time frame on. It's that's a plan and it's going to happen at some point and when it's ready to manifest itself in your own head. Very cool concept. I mean, both that you are doing it. I'm really excited for you. That's fantastic. But also that you've been looking at this for 11 years, and it's now, oh wow, all right, now I'm ready to do this.
And the other thing that I'm always mindful of too. I don't know if we're on time. We're just kind of.
I think we're good. I think we're good for a little bit longer.
I'm always mindful about when to share. Also.
Yeah.
Because first off, sometimes I think people can just fall asleep if you're just constantly talking about what you're about to do, what you're doing. Like, okay, let's just do it. Do what you can. I just had a conversation yesterday with a family, and some of the advice that I shared was that your life is not a rehearsal. This is your life, and so what you can see and what you believe on the inside of you, hold true to that, not what other people believe about you. Because you can want to believe about me, Connie, and I love it, I appreciate it, but it doesn't take on the same type of meaning if I can't really see it on the inside for myself and then move into that direction.
I love it.
And see, when you can see it for yourself, that is what draws you to this. If you can't see it for yourself, it's just not going to happen. You have to believe it, because people can tell you things, but until you see it for yourself, that gravitational pull doesn't happen.
This is so powerful, because one of the questions I was going to ask you is about support systems, about people who are in your circle that help you along, help you benefit, give you really good advice. I mean, the people that are around you that either, tell you don't jump off the ledge, or hey, go ahead and jump off the ledge because it's time, kind of thing. And so how that plays into how your particular business has grown throughout your period. I mean, I know your husband's very supportive about a lot of the things that you do. You have your daughter involved in a lot of things, which is amazing. That's obviously a process in itself as well.
Yeah. So you were breaking up. I think I heard most of what you said. I definitely have support around me. There's no lack of support around me. And there's no lack of kudos and that kind of stuff, right? And right. So then there's no lack of people telling me the truth. So, but I still, even with all of that, I hold what's in my heart, really. And that's just how I am as a person. And so it just carries over into the business. Like, I don't want to just put out stuff just to put out stuff. Right. I really want to be impactful to people's lives. And so even with the cookbook, for me, it's not just about a cookbook. I understand the connection between when you are really in control of your meals, what that really does to a family. Like that's like it's a goes back to my foundation. It brings families together. You're nourishing your body. You're nourishing through conversations that's around the dinner tables, and you're sharing ideas about things that could help. You're really creating a solid foundation physically in your body. Food is information, and so for me, the cookbook is also about sharing that information with people. And so again, I just hold true to myself. When I'm doing these interviews, I'm like, I really don't have a formula other than holding true and being authentic to myself.
I love it. I love it. So as we wind up or wind down, can you share with me or share with us one tip you have, like your go-to tip for entrepreneurs, somebody starting out or somebody that's just in a struggle situation? And I think you've probably hit on it several times through here, but I just would love to hear you reiterate, as you would, what your best tip for somebody starting out or somebody in a entrepreneurial kind of struggle.
Yeah. So start out, I would say just don't be. I mean, you have to do the foundational stuff, get your LLC, get your licenses and that kind of stuff. Ensure that your technical knowledge in that area is sound. Get all of that stuff out of the way. You have the proper education for what it is that you're pursuing. And so, but from a let me see, a touchy-feely, if you would, more of a soft skill kind of approach, I would say don't be afraid to just dream out loud. And don't be afraid to allow yourself to really go through the process, because not every business that started out the way we see it today. McDonald's isn't McDonald's. It started back in, I don't know, the 60s, 50s, whenever it got started. It wasn't the McDonald's we see today. There were stages and development, changes. And so know that along the way, you're going to have these different moments where you realize, whoa, that didn't work, or let's pivot. So don't be afraid of that process, but allow yourself to go through the journey and really have your vision realized. Hold true to your vision and really see it realized. So if you want to produce content, if you're looking, somebody is going into television at some point in her life, and what I'm always sharing with her is that you have to have content. You have to have content in order to go into this area. And so have what you're looking at, stockpile what you're trying to share. So if you're a writer, write.
Yeah.
If you're a cookbook blogger, blog. If you like to cook. If you're a fitness person, then get out there and be a fitness person would. But you have to be able to really be authentic to yourself and have something to really give and share.
Gosh, that was so many good nuggets. That was not all. I mean, some of that was what I was expecting you to say, but certainly not all of it. And I love the quote about your business is going to change. What it looks like today is not what it's going to be what it looks like in a couple of years. So that was really powerful. And thank you for sharing that. So Shaniqua, as we wind up, can you tell anybody if they want to reach you or follow you or find out more about your cookbook coming up, any of those things? How do people find you after today?
Go to shaniquacousins.com. So it's out there on Instagram, Facebook. I'm not really good at Twitter. I gave that up. I said, this is too much to do. So I'm primarily on Instagram and Facebook, and Shaniqua Cousins on both platforms.
And what day?
I really like hanging out on Instagram.
What day is your cooking show?
Say that again.
What day is your cooking show? Because don't you do broadcast live on?
Yeah, so I go live once a month with the cooking, and the next one will be June 5th.
Okay, excellent. You guys got to watch it. It's so good. So much fun to watch and such good information. And it's just natural. And she, just shares with you the natural. She's not, some expert cook mixing up all kinds of strange stuff that you wouldn't even understand. It's so genuine. It's fabulous to watch. It's a lot of fun. Absolutely. Shaniqua, I can't thank you enough for being with us today. So many good nuggets, so much good information I got. And I hope that everybody got through what we were talking about. I will reshare her post. Today's Friday, Monday on Facebook again, tagging her so she can share it to all of her people. And then I also upload it to my YouTube channel so you guys can subscribe to YouTube, my YouTube channel, and then you can make sure you get this and any other entrepreneurial interviews that we have on there. There's quite a few. I mean, I think we're up to almost 50 now, which is fantastic. A lot of good information here. Thank you. And, do that. And then we will be sharing it on LinkedIn too, probably in a couple of weeks. So we keep sharing these information because I feel like this information is so valuable. And the whole reason I started this was to be able to share entrepreneurial stories about how they got to where they are, what they're doing now, and to share with you guys that, entrepreneurs are not alone in their process. And a lot of people think that they are. So I like to really share that and give people the opportunity to reach out and ask questions to people, these successful people that have figured out how to work through some of these struggles and learn in their own opportunity. So stay tuned. There's plenty more where this came from, but this was fantastic. And I can't thank you enough, beautiful lady, for being on with me today.
Even asking to participate, and I love it. And I love 50 is nothing to shy about. So good. That takes a lot. That takes a lot of energy and a lot of your time. And I believe you're going to get back many blessings tenfold. Sharing your platform with all these entrepreneurs. So this is good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you. So you want to find any more stuff on ShaniquaCousins.com. We'll post that in the comments below. And then I also, if you need any information from me, you want to continue, somebody who might want to be on the broadcast or some other things that we have to do for entrepreneurs, ConnieFuksa.com is where you can find them. So I hope you guys have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye-bye.